Welcome, welcome, welcome to another episode of Till the Dirt. This is the Shahs of Rewatch, or the Shahs of Rewatch, the Shahs of Sunset Rewatch, where I watch old episodes of Shahs of Sunset that I have not seen before, featuring my beautiful wife, Mercedes Javid. And then, we'll soak it up, talk some shit. We have we're doing season three, the Turkey trip, which is episodes 12 and 13 this week. So two episodes in one, and we could only do two episodes in one if we have a very special guest, which we do. And that is the beautiful Leila Garachi. How you doing, Leila?
Doing fantastic, Tomas. How are you?
I'm fucking good, man. I'm good. I'm excited to have you here. We were just talking a little bit before we started recording that you're me before me, meaning that like once I came in the show, I'm in it a lot.
And
And
I'm
but you're not
off.
really in it that much. But prior to that, you're in it all the fucking time. Like you're a pretty fit. You're in it more than me. Like I think I was in the last maybe no the last 2 years I was kind of in it a lot. But prior to, I guess I was a more of an answer. But you're in it. And not only that, you're a very even when you're not there, you're omnipresent because of how much your presence affects the relationship between Gigi and my wife.
Yes.
And season three, before we jump into the actual rewatch, I think that we'd be remiss if we didn't touch on some of the things. Now, this year, my wife and Gigi are at like their worlds are colliding in a very, very big way. And to my vantage point, I don't know if you remember how you see it, but for me, my wife is completely wrong. This all started when they went out to that nightclub and she told Sean that he was making out with some other girl, that she was making out with some dude, and just to start a fight. Like that's really all that was. And
Maris
then
had a little Kerm in her. We call it Kerm.
yeah.
She was poking.
Well, I do think, and this has nothing to do with my relationship with Reza. I think that a lot of it had to do with my wife and Reza being in good graces again, and them being very much mean girls,
Yeah.
and also want to think spicy on the show. So, like, let's throw a grenade at Gigi and see if she'll catch it. Where, from Gigi's vantage point, maybe you could tell me, Gigi was a friend to my wife while all that went down. When Reza, blew her up at the reunion and blah, blah, blah. So, the months that they didn't speak, Gigi and my wife were friendly. So, yeah, Gigi, I think because there's that part of Gigi that I see watching this that's very much like an innocent kid, but puts on a very tough exterior. And I think that Gigi was very hurt by the fact that she befriended my wife. And then the second that they were friends again, her and Reza, she got treated like yesterday's garbage. And
They did a lot of that with each other, though. I mean, I'm going back in the beginning seasons. I remember, like you said, Mean Girls, right? But it was like one season, we're all going to be a clique and you're on the outs. And then one season, we're going to be a clique and we're going to get you on the outs. There was always somebody that they were beefing with.
But I
And then
think you're using the wrong word when you say they. And again, this has nothing to do with my relationship with him. I think it's Reza. I think it all is bounced off whether or not Rez is into you, and then he'll align the clans one way or the other against you. And
I
that's
think
partly
Reza
because
definitely,
he's quote unquote the
you're
alpha, so he's steering the show, right? So like
exactly.
whoever he's at, and I think that in his mind or in his playbook of reality TV, because again, in his defense, this is all new to you guys or to the world. There's a few of these reality shows. There's the Jersey Shore, which is definitely not like Bravo. It's a lot more like, fun
MTV,
times. Yeah,
yeah.
younger crowd too. Bravo, there's the Housewives at this point. So like he's writing his own plays, I guess you'd say, as this is going on. But I think that if you go against Reza, you're kind of, you're putting yourself in a position that it's going to be a long season for you.
Because Reza was the puppet, and I mean, he was pretty much the puppet master, I think, for all those 9 years.
For sure. And again, now that we don't have to beat around the bush. The tiger's out of the cage. There's a new show.
There's a new
that's in
show.
development, right? There's a new show. They're filming it now. Bravo's already announced it. I've had meetings with executives and blah, 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 and this, all that. And I know because they've told me he was the A personality. He was supposed to steer and guide the show. So when you have that type of responsibility and you don't really have a playbook or anybody else to draw, you're kind of going off the cuff.
Yeah,
So, like in his mind, this is what good TV is. I'm gonna fucking eviscerate you, and we're gonna be at odds all
that's
year.
what
And
happened. Exactly.
and then when we get to reunion, we'll make up and see you next year. You know what I'm
We'll
saying?
find somebody else to put on the outside.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. Or that's my come away from it. And
For me, it's really hard, right? Because I don't make friends and then fight with them and then make up and then have ons and offs and ons and offs, right?
it's
That was
like,
one of the perfect examples of the whole Golessa and Mercedes situation, right? Golessa introduced us because I needed somebody to help me sell my house. And so we hit it off and she helped me. And then her and Golessa get into a tiff, and then I'm not allowed to talk to MJ again. So for years, we had this back and forth. Every couple months, they'd get into a fight. And then she'd go tell my parents, Layla's still friends with MJ. My parents would call and say, why are you still friends with her? Unless it's not getting along with her. So then I have to stop being friends with MJ. Puts me in a bad situation too.
and it's so childish. It's
It's
ridiculous.
so kindergarten.
It's
It reminds me
ridiculous.
of like elementary school.
Like I'm like I'm the type. Like I said, I'm too loyal. Like I'm the guy. I'm Al Cowlings, dude. I'm driving OJ to where we going. We're gonna get you
Yeah,
out of here, buddy. You know what I mean? Like that's
yeah.
me. So I don't understand how you can. But the same thing goes the other way. Where if you cross me, dude, you're fucking dead to me, bro. You know what I'm saying? Like I can forgive and whatever. Go on. I don't wish any will on you. But I'm never going to be friends. We're never going back there again. It's never going to be peas and carrots again. And for them, this is like, it's like, all right, they kind of get through it. And I've said it, I'm sure you don't listen to the pod all the time. I know you catch it when you can, but I talk about how you have always, always been a much better friend to my wife than Gigi is. So I can never really understand she can't hang out. It's like, why? You don't want to hang out with her. You know
Well,
what I mean? Like,
after like 5, 6 times of this happening, I went back to my parents because she goes to my parents for everything. So I went back to them and I said, listen, I don't fight with my friends. She's my friend. Every time, every other month when Golasa gets into a fight with her, you expect me not to be friends with her and say, she's not a friend. I can't do that. I can't pretend to be somebody's friend. And then I'm sorry, you got into another fight a week later. It has nothing to do with me. And listen, I know people will see it like you're not taking your family's side, but a lot of people don't know my family situation, you
yeah.
know?
And that's one of the things where I feel bad for you because I'll tell you this. I don't like you on this show. I don't like you. I think that, but I know you. And that's where it's kind of like, because you're never in support of Gigi ever. But I get it because I know you outside of it. But I'm talking if I'm a fan from Wisconsin and I'm watching it and Gigi's main cast, you're not. So they're always going to paint her in a way that makes her look better. And then anytime she comes by Layla's the bitchy sister. And oh, it must have been horrible growing up with Layla. You know what I mean? Where I think that there's some animosity on your behalf because I think that you feel like I could just as easily be on this show. I have more story than this girl. I got a fucking husband and fucked the girl in the bed.
I'll tell
You
you
know what
a
I
funny
mean?
story. Mike Shoehead, when
You
they were,
know them. You actually do know them. Like,
Mike was one of my best friends.
that's what I'm
He
saying.
asked me to be on this show, and I said no.
Mm,
And then a year and a half later, Velocity was the last one they brought on. But I
okay.
said, no, this isn't.
No, Jesse had told me that too, that she was the one that kind of was the last one that didn't really, but she had the attitude. But I think that
I'm
this
too
all comes,
boring. I'm too
I,
boring for reality
but I
TV.
think it all comes like I don't think she doesn't want you hanging out with MJ. I think she doesn't want you hanging out with MJ because then they're going to film you and you're going to be on her show. And
No, no, no.
and this is my thing. This is mine. It's the only thing I've ever
Melissa,
had and it's mine. And she's going to take it from me. You know what I
it,
mean?
she thinks I'm trying to steal her spotlight. The only reason I filmed anyway, because she asked me to.
Mm-hmm.
It was a show about the cast and their families. It
Mm-hmm.
wasn't just a show about the cast. It was
Yes.
the dynamic of the families with the group.
Same as
Now,
the
yeah,
show they're trying to make now. 100%. Yes,
Exactly. And that's why she
100%.
had become film, you saw, for Elijah's birthday. Now, whether the cameras were there or not, I would have shown up. It's my
Yes,
nephew's birthday. You know
yes,
what I mean?
yes.
Just so happened that there was cameras there. Um, but yeah, I mean, it's a completely different world. I filmed for her. And then that's why you saw I stopped filming. I didn't film for a couple of years. I wouldn't do it. They'd call me every year. I would say no.
Yeah,
I
or
did it
she,
again.
cause then she tried to put like you couldn't come to our wedding. That bothers me because she was going to create a stink and make it a thing. You know
And
what I
that's why
mean?
I told her I don't want to cause a scene at your wedding.
That's but like that's so like it's things like that that irk me, which has always kind of irked me about Gigi. But then getting back to this season, when like because again things, you know, I don't go seeking it. But if you're in this world and you're married, like I'm married to my wife, things are going to seep through, right? Like I've always heard of certain things. Like I know something's going to be going down in Turkey. With Mike and your sister, I know that's going to happen. I know about my wife breaking down and wanting a kid. Like I know that happened too. You know what I mean? So like little things, the buttery croissant. I never knew what that was till I saw that this year, and
You've
it was
never watched
hilarious.
the first episodes?
I've never seen any of these show episodes before. And
Wow.
so one of our Joan Slahuka, who's one of our dirties, is the one that made the recommendation. She was like, "You should do this," and then I just said, "I'll do it with the fan," and it's this is where it's come. But I've never I've always one of those things, those evergreen things I've always heard is that Gigi doesn't like my wife and she's right for it for whatever reasons. And I never really can understand that because when I was in the picture, Gigi never really fucked with my wife. I mean, the one year when they with the RA, but Reza led that charge and
It is.
everybody else followed in too. It wasn't just my wife. They were all quote unquote
What was that,
suspicious.
season one? No, two, right?
No, that's
Season-
the first year I'm in. That's
Oh, so
it's
that's
the
okay,
first year when
cool.
we go to Belize. So
Okay.
that's coming. But
What
like even
season
that,
did you come on?
I think that it's next season. Well, no, my wife said there's still another. I think season 5 I come. I'm not 100% sure. But
Oh,
point is, from the time I was in, that was the only real time where I felt like Gigi or my wife, she could have any animosity towards my wife because otherwise I didn't see anything. But then watching this season, I kind of get it. You know what I mean? Like I get it. My wife has kind of fucked her over at a few turns this year. She called your mother and called her a whore and a slut. You know what I
called my
mean?
mom a whore. She
No,
called
she
my
called your
mom.
mother to tell her that Gigi was a whore and a slut. No, you know what I mean? And again,
She passed the line there. Listen, I stand up. Let me tell you something. Anytime, and you saw that I remember filming with you guys once. I don't know if it was your wedding or the engagement party or something. We went to a restaurant after, and you said, I'm the only one sticking up for her.
no, that was
Something.
after Asa's thing where she attacked Adam, and
Okay.
you still had her back. And I said, because she wasn't allowed to come to that. So it was just you. And you
Okay.
were there sticking up for Gigi. And I was like, you got to give this broad some credit, dude. You know what I mean? She's sticking up for her sister when there really was you know what I mean? There was no reason.
I stick up for what I think is right.
Yeah.
Golessa has wronged me over and over and over again, right? But I'm still always like, she's still my sister. So I'm going to
Mhm.
always look out for my family. But you can't keep standing behind somebody who constantly does wrong by people, and including yourself. At some point, it gets to the point where you're just like, enough is enough.
But that was my thing too, because again, she should have just allowed my wife to take the L and zip it. You know what I mean? Because my wife's 100% wrong. She shouldn't
Yeah,
have started the thing with Sean. She shouldn't be calling your mother
right,
cursing at her. You know what I'm saying?
right.
But your sister will then turn it when she's got 100% on
Vengeance,
her side.
vengeance.
She'll still turn it up a notch, and now you're like, oh, now you know what I mean? Like when she started talking about your husband in the last episode, like I'm gonna hang out with him. It's like, Gigi, really? No, that's not. You know what I mean? So, like I said, it's got to be a real difficult situation to be in,
She's my
because
husband, by the way. She still calls and talks to my husband. My
that's that
ex-husband.
That's, that's what I mean. Listen, they could have a relationship. I don't know, but that what the way she was putting it wasn't, she was saying like, yeah, I'm gonna go fuck your husband more or less to make you mad because you're hanging out with my mortal enemy, MJ,
That's not
which
the
they're
first
friends
time.
now again. You know what I mean? Took one dinner in Turkey, one dinner, which now we can actually get to the episode.
All right, let's go.
Um,
Get into this episode. Talk to me.
so it opens up. We see them. They're all getting ready to go to Turkey. The first actual scene we get, which I'm surprised, and and I know, the production's probably the one that kind of, threw the grenade in the middle of the table and was like, don't we? Because otherwise, I don't feel like it's the right time to have the conversation. Like they just landed there. People are kind of in good spirits. Why have the fight now? Because it's going to be a fight. You know what I mean? But they did it. They threw the grenade in the middle of the table. And listen, to your sister's credit, whether it because there were cameras there or whatever, she owned up to it. She apologized. My wife, you right away, you see how like the taste of bile that comes in her mouth, dude.
Because MJ and Galessa are very similar.
A
When they
hundred
get
percent
mad, they're vengeful.
vengeful. And the wronger
They will
they
go for the
are,
jugular.
the wronger they are,
The
the
more they
worse they
scream.
get to the other
Exactly.
person. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
Like the wronger they are, the more, like you said, perfect. They've more for the jugular and the because now they're just trying to rip your esophagus out and kill you, so that you
Really.
can't remind them how wrong they are because they don't like being wrong. The both of them. And when
Both.
you're and when you're wrong, like where everybody, like you call someone's mother and tell them that their daughter's a whore, I don't care what precluded that. You know what I mean? You're fucking wrong. But she can't just sit on that. Like even at this dinner, she can't apologize for it. And then when she does, when she finally does, it's not. There's no sweetness in it. Like it was like an attack. Like, yeah, I called your
But then it was
mother. I
kumbaya.
said
All
she was a
right. It's over.
whore.
We're friends again.
And then that 2 seconds, like so fucking crazy, dude.
Crazy.
It's so well. At least I'm happy that's not like, oh, because I'm not Persian, I don't get it. You're Persian, and it's
And I
crazy.
still don't get it. I
Okay,
still
good,
don't get it.
good. I'm happy. Um, my wife telling people that they need to be accountable is literally the funniest thing that's ever been said on television. Like with a straight face, she has the nerve to say that. It's so fucking crazy to me. But then again, like I said, Gigi was the bigger person. She apologized, and that was a good apology. My wife's
Yeah.
wasn't. My wife's
It
wasn't. My
wasn't
wife's apology,
an apology. It was like, no,
a
fuck you.
lecture.
And it
It
was
was
like,
like a lecture.
I'm really sorry. I'm like,
Yeah,
well, I didn't go from fuck you to I'm
yeah.
sorry.
Yeah, and again, it only happened because Gigi apologized first. My
Yeah.
wife was never going to say it first. She's just even now, dude. Thank God for Shams because he's made her better at that. He's made, like, she definitely knows it's a shortcoming, and she even said in the talking head. Speaking of which, Vita, less blush. Like that one talking head she had. I've on my Veganism, less blush. She got these fucking two red fucking. Yeah, no, dude, what is that? What is that, dude? I don't even know. Looks like got two fucking cough drops on her face, bro. Look what's going on. So less blush, babe. But yeah, she can't apologize first. Like if you do it,
Either.
then
But
she'll do
I'm
it.
shocked Melissa did because both of them are horrible at apologizing.
I'm stunned. But that's why, to me, like I said, Gigi has the upper hand this whole season. The one part that she was wrong about, or like she said that my wife was lying about the thing with Sean, which they don't ever show really. They kind of give it a little. I caught it really, that they don't ever really show that because that's why the guy Sean a few episodes ago says then I have to apologize to MJ because he's under the impression the whole time that MJ made that up to start a fight, which isn't true, and
No,
that's why
and
my wife dug her feet in the dirt a
I
little
was
bit
there.
about
I
it.
think that it was wasn't it at Shiva's house?
No, it was at the
Mohammed, her
Asa's
fiance.
party. Well, they at dinner.
No, I'm talking about Lily Galici's party.
Yes, that's
That's
where the
when she was
cheating
hooking
went.
up with him.
That's where
Yeah.
the cheating went down at Lily Galici's party.
It's
Yes.
Hadid, Mohammed Hadid's house.
Yes,
Yeah.
which my wife wasn't even there for
I
because
was.
I know, but I'm saying she told Sean that's I'm sure that's why Gigi said he was lying now that I think about it because she
Well,
wasn't
because
even
they were
there.
both trying to like
Yeah, 100%. Plus, as we could tell, Lily is nowhere in this episode. She's not even,
No,
both
she didn't
parts of the
come.
turkey. She's
She's
gone.
the only smart one. Let me tell you. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
9, 10 years, Lily is the only smart one. I give her all the credit. What
She
was she
definitely
on?
came on with a plan. She definitely came on with a
She
plan and
came on,
executed.
she used her 15 minutes, and she's like, bye bye.
Yeah, and she executed. And then they got Asa with her in Istanbul, like it's fucking the return of.
Listen, they're
I
like,
just can't,
okay,
dude.
so it was really a hard watch for me.
I,
That's like
yeah.
going to like Canada and going, oh my God, I'm around my people. I'm like, you're in a different country. What is going on?
No, I
Like,
can't. Yeah,
I
it's
mean,
like they keep making it seem like they went back to Iran.
they're
It's like
crying and
it would
like
be like if I went back to Jersey and I was like, it's so good to be back in New York. It's no,
around my own people. And then
yeah,
you guys turn
no,
into
it is
Turkish
not the
people. It's
same,
like,
dude.
hello, it's a whole other country.
I'm so happy you said that because that's
Oh
one of the
my
things
God.
I wrote down is that they're not like, is it me? I don't know. You like
The
Gigi says
crying, the
Gigi
crying,
says she goes back to Iran all the time. Do
you
you go there?
do.
Okay, so then you're
I haven't gone in like 13 years, but
okay, but you want
I've taken my daughter twice.
okay, so then you would know. You're the person to ask. Is Turkey that much close to Iran that you'd feel like you were back in Iran?
It's like going to Mexico and saying we're so close to the United States. I feel so connected. Oh,
With a sombrero on?
it's right there. It's
Yeah, with
right.
the sombrero on, taking a shot of tequila and eating a taco. It's so great to be in America. Yeah.
Like I was dumbfounded, and then the lesson crying. Like, what are
Yeah.
you? What?
They go to the mosque that's a thousand years old. Meanwhile, if you live out here, you can't get a fucking permit to build a tree house. And they got these mosques that are like, but I don't know, man. I like that doesn't interest me. And it's not to say that I'm right, because I know that I'm easy guy, whatever. But like, I never really care. Like, I don't care about seeing the Roman Colosseum either. Like, it's just never something that, like, because it's old. Ooh, so I don't know. I don't, and I don't have. Now, that's not to say if you're not an immigrant or first or second generation American watching this, that this isn't very new and very, cool in a lot of ways, because you don't really see this on. These two episodes are like unlike any two episodes of reality television that I think you'll ever see, especially the reality television that we're
We
talking
have to
about.
do with Iran. I mean, that I don't get.
But I think they're trying their best because they know that they can never get them to Iran. So
Go
this
to
is
a
like
brown country, so the brown
this is
color.
the closest they could get, I guess. But but there's some real moments in the show that you're not going to get on Jersey Shore. You know what I mean? You're not going to get on Real Housewives of fucking Orange County or whatever the fuck. That's like real shit. Um,
Remember the part Mike freaking out, like I feel so all alone.
yeah,
You're in a
girl,
different country.
girl,
Like when
yes,
I go to Rome,
yes,
I'm like, I don't
yes.
go, oh my God, I can't go to the churches. Like I feel so alone here.
I mean, listen, in Mike's defense, I do understand the feeling that, wow, everyone here is not like me. You know what I mean? Like,
In another country, you're going to visit another country. You're not,
understood, but in that other country, they're all Muslim. You know what I mean? They're all
no, they're
going to
not.
pray. They're all
They're
going.
not. Well, in the mosque where you went to
Yeah,
go
no,
visit the
where they
mosque,
are.
you're
I'm
going
not.
to
I'm not
pray.
saying everywhere. I'm talking about where they are and where they choose to film this. He's the only one, and I didn't realize that about Mike, that he
They
considers
don't,
himself.
they were trying to convert him. They were like, you got the most beautiful mosque. You're just going to look at it. Just like when we go to Italy, we go to the Sistine Chapel, or when we go to Spain, we go to this, what is this?
This the
Familia,
16 the steps. What is it? Spanish steps? Is that
Spanish
Spain?
Scott. It
Yeah.
doesn't mean you need to turn into a Catholic because you go visit the Vatican.
Yes, but see, like for me, I don't. I never knew that Mike had that feeling first, that I'm not Irani first, I'm Jewish first. Like me, I'm an American before anything. I'm not really a practicing Catholic. I'm not, but I know there's plenty of people that I know that I grew up with that are that would tell me I'm Catholic before I'm American. It's good, unit core God country. You know what I mean? So like for him, he put that first. I didn't know that about Mike. So if he's saying that there was a fight, I'm going on that side of the street with the Israelis, and I'm going to fight against the people that all really look like me. That's different, you know. And again, that's something you're not going to see on fucking Real Housewives of Potomac, dude. You
No.
know what I mean? So I give them a lot of credit for
Deeper cultural, religious issues that really usually aren't even brought up in reality.
totally taboo, dude, you know, totally taboo. So I give them a lot of credit for at least trying to have these conversations so that we could sit there and say Mike's wrong or right. You know what I mean? That's just your opinion. It's just my opinion. Neither one of us are right or wrong. But the fact that we could talk about that as opposed to talking about some of the other topics that they have on these shows, I think it's a much more deeper and intellectual conversation than a lot of the stuff that Bravo, not to say it's bad, but it's just not the topics that normally are on a show like this. You know what I mean? Um, and Reza and Mike being scared, I think they play it up for the cameras a little bit because I'm with you, dude.
100, that
Like,
was a million
you know
percent
what I
played.
mean? They're not in any danger. Nothing's the fucking camera crew in fucking like the land. They're probably the most protected people in that time in Turkey. You know?
Listen, that is just playing to the cameras. You're not scared in Turkey. I mean, Turkey is one of like the Europe's biggest like travel tourist destinations to the Istanbul and like to the beaches there, and it's
Yeah,
not.
especially again, man. You're fucking there for a count. Like it would be a what do you call that? It'd be an international incident, dude. If something happened to them while they're there, like you know.
All over the
So
news.
I'm sure they're super protected. I did like the Asa, reversal once she went inside and she found out she couldn't pray with the men and she had to sit with the women because then it's like that's just some of the reasons
I'm glad she stood up for
this,
that.
but it also was kind of it was also a little shut up, lady, because for a while she's telling you how great things are, and it's just their choice, and this is how they like it, and then all of a sudden it's like, all right, well you got to go sit over there, and well I don't want to do that, you know. So you don't think she wants to wear the beekeeper hat? You know what I mean? Like maybe she does, maybe she doesn't, but don't assume that everybody loves the way things are when you just proved that you don't, and you've only been here for a little while. You know what I mean?
Lesson today, yeah.
Um, and let me just say, while we're on the subject of Asa, this broad made it out like a bandit on this show.
Who
Like,
also?
yeah, I mean, the first season, she gets the fucking that uh concert that they literally put on a
Oh God, her
concert for her.
diamond water, her
She got a fucking the
her,
diamond
her
water. She got fucking the
caftans,
uh, the
her
uh the photography show. She got two of them. The
the
one that was
caftan.
last year, and the
Yeah.
one that Gigi fought at Adam with. She got a fucking another art show when she has no artistic talent whatsoever. You know what I mean?
And then her
And
singing, her singing.
yeah, that's
It was a weird one. Out of all the cast, I was friends with everyone. Acquaintances with Asa.
yes.
We have so little in common. Like, um, we never like, hi, how are you? Nice to see you. Very pleasant, but I
No,
never
and even this
tried.
episode, like again, she didn't pay to fucking fly everybody to Turkey, dude. You know what I mean? That's production. Production put this trip together, and for her, they got her fucking family to come from Iran. You know what I mean? That she hasn't seen or whatever, and she made out like a fuck. I'm grateful for my wife. I'm grateful for my son. I'm grateful that everybody's healthy. I'm
All right,
grateful
whoop,
for
whoop,
Layla. I'm
calm
grateful
it
for.
down.
Uh, yeah, I'm
Calm it
grateful for
down.
everybody out there listening and watching. But yeah,
Well,
man. So
she
like,
was smart, though.
and
She
then
was,
she got the fucking caftans, which eventually got her off the show. You know, so she made out like a fucking bandit on the
well,
show,
she's
dude.
smart. I'm telling you, the smartest one was Lily. I talked to MJ in the beginning. I'm like, let's launch this, this, and this. Remember we were talking about like
Yes,
all that.
yes. But even Lily,
Pointless. Michael Shoehead, pointless. Of
well,
course,
they
had to
Mike,
launch.
they all had the idea that all you had to do is put it on the show and you get rich. They weren't willing to put any work in behind it, and
Thank
that's
you.
not the case. You got to hustle.
Never.
Lily hustled, Asa hustled too, but Asa it's different. Like Asa got so much more exposure than even Lily. Like Asa gets these grandiose things that I don't understand. Like, did they really? The person sitting there, like, wow, she's talented. We should really.
No, I just think that she had no other storyline.
So we give her fucking a full episode worth of
Well,
fucking.
she wouldn't bring the what's his name, Jermaine? She wouldn't.
Jermaine. Yeah, no, and they
Only
made it
brought him
seem like
like
they were
on
high
camera
school
once.
sweethearts. It's like she just met him before they fucking started filming, and they're not allowed to talk about the, So like, I don't know this episode because that's a big deal, dude. Like you go to Iran, you go to Iran, your sister, you don't have family there that they could have flown. They couldn't have been about you.
Family.
That's what I'm saying. It couldn't have been about you. You know what I mean? Because again, and people watching, Asa had nothing to do with the fucking trip. It wasn't like Asa booked this, booked that, paid for this. This is
Oh, well, come on, you know
production.
how it works. Every season they'll pick a trip and they'll say, "This is your trip. You're the
Yes,
coordinator."
yes.
This
Gigi's
was
inviting
awesome.
everybody. Yeah, MJ said she wants you all to. So Asa has nothing. And again, they used her whole fit. Like that's fucking cool as hell. Like my wife and I got that for our wedding. You know what I mean? We got married. So like that's a pretty big deal. So I don't know, man. I feel like Asa just made it out like a bandit. Like that's a pretty big deal. Now, don't get me wrong. Again, I'm a mutt. I'm American. My mother's fully Irish. My father's Irish. I'm sorry, my father's German and Italian. But I don't like long to go back to Ireland. It's never like been whatever. You know what I mean? Like,
Born here. I
yeah,
went to Jewish preschool, Presbyterian kindergarten. Like my kids
yeah.
went to Catholic school. My daughter's going to college at a Methodist school. Like,
And you could speak to it more than I can. Like, is the juice worth the squeeze with Iran? The way these people are talking, like even
listen, the
Vida
juice
talks
is.
about like she's lived here 50 years and she
I
talks
will.
about
I will
Iran.
tell you. I will tell you. The juice is definitely worth the squeeze.
Okay,
It is amazing. The only thing that sucks is the government. If they
okay,
get rid of this government, people love it there. And it's
okay,
beautiful. And
okay.
if you come as a foreigner, whether you're a celebrity or not Persian, when we go there, they know we're not from there. I talk with an accent, right? So they
Mhm.
know my Farsi is like kindergarten level. I can't
Yeah,
really.
yeah, I was just gonna say that.
The second I get off the airplane, they know we're not there from
Mm,
there.
yeah,
And over here, you're not from really here either, even though you're born and raised here. So it's kind of like we're not really from anywhere because when we go there, they're like, you're a foreigner. They'll even ask for your autograph.
mm,
They are the people are the most kindest, most hospitable, most welcoming people. The government is a different story. I mean, they killed my aunt, they killed my uncle. Um,
yeah. No, I get it. I get it. Like in the past, that's funny you say that too, because not it's funny that they killed your aunt and uncle, but I mean that I you know, I asked ChatGPT because Asa kept complaining about whether or not she could go back, and ChatGPT was kind of like, "You really don't want to take the shot. If your father was in the military, you never know." So it's like,
yeah.
all right, you know what I mean? But
Her situation's a little different because what happened was when the revolution happened, he was probably in the Navy for the Shah. And when they
okay,
overthrew the Shah, anyone that was in the military, my dad's friend, they had to escape too. Even though they were Muslim, it didn't matter because they were in the military for the Shah. And that was considered like you're a traitor.
but
So
let me
when
ask you this. Maybe you know better than me because it just confused me. How is it okay if they're not allowed and they're bad news and all that good stuff? How is it okay for her family to come visit them in Turkey and then go back to Iran? Wouldn't the same political people know
you
that
don't
she
need
just
a
did that?
visa, you don't need a visa for Turkey.
No,
So
but I
like
mean, wouldn't there be the same political, like, wouldn't they be under the same type of worry to
no,
go
no,
back?
it's a different country. Hello.
What, even though she went to see their American, because they got to know that they went and were
They
on
don't know
shop.
who you're going to see. They can go travel to
Okay,
Europe. There's
okay,
certain countries that you don't need a visa for. Like people from Iran can easily travel to like Thailand or Turkey. You don't need a visa.
got it, got it. And
So
and again, the reunion, not something you see on television. That was, I'm not saying I got all emotional, but that was
I did
definitely
that reunion, right? Oh, you're talking about the
the
reunion.
family reunion. The family reunion there. That was definitely an emotional moment for those people, dude. Like that's something that they will never ever forget. It kind of made me a little mad at Asa because it's like, yo, you just turned your back and walked away from the. They gave you something. Like I'll always be indebted, no matter what the fuck happened with Shahs and what the fuck, you know what I mean. And like between me and Reza, I'll always be indebted for being able to propose to my wife on camera, to be able to get married and have my wedding and all my friends there on camera. Those are things that like you can't put a price on. It's
Yeah.
a memorable time and moment in your life, and like you know, that's something she couldn't pay for that. You know what I mean? Like,
Right.
so I just hope she appreciates
But
that
that
now
was an
today.
amazing, that was, I
No,
felt
it
really
was TV you
happy
don't
for
expect.
her family,
Yes.
mom, yeah, everybody.
Um, and yeah, again, my wife's talking head, less blush. This is like it's just she had way too much blush on. And that's pretty much the gist of, episode one. Is there's no real through line. It's kind of just showing them around Turkey. When they episode two, your
Can we
sister.
jump to the baby part? Can we,
Yeah, well,
I
episode
get
two,
to the baby part.
your sister's trying to stick a suppository up her ass. I don't know. Reza's showing it like, have these people never heard of Dramamine, dude? Like, you could just, you don't have to
I think
fucking.
that was for show,
Yeah, I
but
think so too. I hope.
Melissa has
I
always
hope.
had an
I
issue
hope. I
with
hope.
boats. I mean,
Um, Reza and Asa going to the Irani border, and I get it, and they really like it's a big deal in the show. But to me, I'm like Mike with that. Like, I don't really care. You know what I mean? Again, but
again, I gotta be honest with you.
mm,
Same boat. I was literally okay. So I'll give you an example. I'm going to Thailand with the kids. We got
okay,
this summer in June, and then we have a 1 day, a whole day in Korea. So I'm
okay.
looking up like what is there to do, like what are the main activities, and the main activity
Go to
there.
North Korean border.
Yes.
Okay.
Like,
Yeah.
oh, okay, I see
Yeah, look at
on
them.
that side of the
Look how
street.
bad they have it over there.
But I'm telling you, it's their number one activity.
Yeah.
I don't get it.
Again, I don't, like I said, for me, I mean, it's funny though, because no matter where I am on earth, I don't care where it is. And if someone asks me where you're from, I'm always going to say Queens. That's where I could be in the
I'm
middle of,
LA, born and raised.
yeah.
LA,
So
man.
so I don't lead with America. You know what I mean? It would always be Queens. It wouldn't even be New York. It would be Queens. So I get that, but like if fucking I
Would
don't
you
know because I would
fly
never,
and
like,
drive
if I wasn't
5 hours?
allowed to go back to Queens, would I come to the fucking 59th Street Bridge and look and feel like, oh, there's a piece of me? I don't know. I don't know. But I just felt like it was very over the top. Especially
I
for
agree.
Reza and Asa for her mother. I get it more. I can
Yeah.
understand it more. She still has a lie, like, her sister was fucking, you know what I mean? That's is different. But yeah, so like, and again, it's a
Again, I could see how that would be important for some people because that's like I said, it's the number one activity to do in Korea is
mm.
to go to the border and just look at a piece of land. For me, I would have stayed back with MJ and Melissa and Mike and let them.
But yeah, there's definitely people watching that are like, I'm from, Colombia, or I'm from fucking, Japan, and I can't go home for whatever reason, and they
Yeah.
might feel that in their heart, and God bless. But like for me, it just wasn't, and it got to a point like, are they gonna get there yet? Like, I don't need to drive, and like I understand, like so, but whatever, to each his own. My wife, they get to the boat. My wife is still pissed about the chocolate croissant line, which I think is fantastic because that definitely pissed her off when he said she couldn't eat one. I wish I could have been there. Of all the things that I wish I could have seen in the history of time, would be to be in that Starbucks when Mike said, "Yeah, I don't think you need that, girl." That would have been great. Especially
I
when she
think
was
he
already
regretted
pissed.
it.
She was already like she already had a bad day. She didn't like
Yeah,
her
she was
outfit.
already on edge.
Yeah.
That set her right over.
That would have been priceless to see, man. Um, and then we get Reza kind of gets into a little bit of an argument with Asa and with Gigi about the ladies walking around, the beekeeper and whatever.
Okay, so that pissed me off.
Okay.
And that I have to really stick up for Golessa, and I'm glad she finally said something.
Okay. I'm on the other side, so let's hear it.
You're going to another country. You're going
Yes.
into their world.
Yes. But he's American. So no matter how you look at it, you're going to see it through the American eyes.
Don't
And
go.
I look
Don't
at it,
go visit another country if you're not
that's
willing
why I
to.
don't. That's why it's one of the
Well,
reasons I
that's
don't.
stupid for you not to go.
Yeah, no, but like to me, it's hard for me not to be in judgment because you could say whatever you want, and we've had elections and blah blah blah, and the right
And
hates the
you know
left.
what? Reza is half Jewish, right?
Yes,
And Mike is Jewish.
yes.
Okay, what's the difference in somebody? Listen, do I agree with women covering their hair? No. Do I practice Islam? No. But you do you. You know, Jewish people, they wear that little thing on their head, and then
Yes.
some of them wear the hat with the curls and then the strings hanging out. Well, is that scary?
No, and listen, you could just as easily see those people here as you do there, because that's what America is about. That you could come here and kind of be yourself and whatever.
It's Turkey
All
too.
I'm saying
It's
is
open to everyone.
it'd be tough for me. And again, I'm not saying I'm right. I'm not saying I'm right. I'm just saying it'd be
No,
tough for
you're
me
not.
to not pass judgment. It would be. It'd be like, oh wow, that it's fucking hot here. She's gonna be wearing fucking. She got to be
First
sweating her
off,
nuts off. What are
yeah.
we doing? You can't tell me she likes that.
Well,
But
it's
at the
her
same,
choice. It's her choice.
yeah, to an extent, to an
Well,
extent,
well,
if you
if
grew up that way, only
you grew
learn
up
that
that
way.
way, but once you get to be an adult, you can make your own decisions,
You would
right?
think.
I didn't know what religion I was, honestly, till the first day of college.
But
Because
that's also because it wasn't surround like there you're surrounded by it more than you are here. There you get like it's like my wife, even today, she always says Muslim or not practicing. It's like she doesn't ever say Muslim. It's just but I'm not like I'm Catholic, but I'm
we
not.
don't,
Like
but we don't practice. Just like you said, I'm Catholic, but I don't really practice. It's the
yeah,
same thing.
yeah. We see it differently. But again, I see what you're saying. I'm not saying you're wrong. I see what you're saying, but I see what Rez is saying too. You know what I mean? Because like that's a through line through this as well.
As I'm saying, because you're
Well,
going to their home and then saying, why are they dressed that way in their home? Well, if you're not open to different people and different people believing different things, I don't believe in those religions, but I can accept that they do, like to each their own.
yeah, well, yes, to each their own at the end of the day. But I could see where um, you know, where the thought would come from. I don't necessarily like I could also see where it was like enough already. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? Where they were like enough. You're gonna see it your way. I'm gonna see it mine. Like there's no reason to continue to talk about this. You know what I mean?
right, right.
Um, because I don't think either is right or wrong. I think that either has their point. You know what I mean? Um, and then Mike, basically says that Iran isn't home to him, which again I respect too. And like, because again, like to me, I'm American first. And
Iran's
some,
not home to any of us.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
I
yeah.
mean, yeah, Mike might have been born there, Austin might have been born there, but they all came when we were like, they were little. We were born here. My parents came way before the revolution.
Not to
So
mention the life that you have in America. I don't care. You're never going to have it in Iran ever.
not
It's
true.
just
That's a different, okay. So honestly, if you want to be honest, my parents lived a way better life in Iran than they do here. I'm talking, but the restrictions on women is why my dad, when the revolution happened, the revolution happened after I was born. But then after my sister was born, it happened during my sister being born in 81. He goes, I'm not taking two daughters back there to raise two daughters there. Um,
but
but
that's my point. That's
yeah,
my point. It's just
I'm
it's never
talking lifestyle though. Lifestyle's
yeah.
different.
No, but like the freedom to do the things
No,
like it's just so it's just never so like I said, Asa got kicked in the face with it. You know what I mean? She was yeah. But the second I know you got to sit over here. You love it here so much. That's where you got to sit if you like it here. It's like, oh wait, I don't know if I want. So like you can't pick and choosy. You know what I mean? Like you got
yeah,
to take the good and the bad.
yeah,
And there's a lot of bad, especially for women. There's a lot of bad.
yeah.
So like but I get it. Like it's like I said with me, it's something that's always my mother was in the military, my father was in the military, my grandfather. Like to me in America, like once you're here, that's it, man. You don't like it, go back to wherever the fuck you came from, dude. You're here, you're American now. Assimilate, become part of the culture. Like I get holding on to a little bit where you came from, to recipes and things like that. But more, I don't
Look,
care where.
everybody here, we all came from somewhere,
That's my
right?
point. And you left for a reason. You know what I
Right.
mean? You left
Well,
for a reason. My
my
grandmother left
everybody left
Ireland.
for a different reason. Yeah.
Yeah, but my
But the
grandmother left
thing is,
Ireland because there was a famine. They couldn't eat. There was no food. You know what I'm
but
saying?
there's something to be said about holding a piece of your culture too. Although,
Sure.
like I said, I am 100% American, right? I
But
even
that's a
talk
difference. That's a difference. Like I feel like if you asked Vita, heart of hearts, what are you? Her
Iranian.
first words would be I'm Irani. It
Same
wouldn't
with
be
my
that I'm
parents.
American. You've lived here 50 years. You lived here longer than you know what I mean? Like at some point in time, when does that switch? You know what I'm saying?
I don't think for the like our parents' generation that will
Yeah.
happen because their whole life and upbringing in their first like 20, 30 years was spent in their country. Now, I don't
Yeah.
know when Vita came here, like my parents came on a trip and decided to just extend their trip. My dad got a student visa and got another master's at SC, and then we were born. So then we never went back. But my parents had no plans of staying here permanently. It was just a trip that they were visiting. They were traveling all over the world. They said, we've never been to the Americas. Let's
Hmm.
go check that out. And they said, we need more than 3 months. So they said the only way to do it is get a student visa. So he went and got another master's. But then that's when the revolution happened. And he said, I'm not going to go
Go
back. And
back to that.
they killed
Yeah.
my aunt at that time, my uncle.
Yeah.
They were
Yeah.
going after me.
No, but I think that, there was a generation around World War II where wherever you came from in the world, once you got here, you were American and you were proud to represent that. Didn't matter. But I think you're right. Now there is and I'm not just saying Iran, like you could be here from Mexico, you could be here from Colombia, you could be here from, I used to work with dudes from the Philippines that would always, they're Filipino first. And it's
Yeah.
like, you're not, you know what I mean? So there's a part of me that wishes or romanticizes that wish we got back to that because unfortunately, anytime something really fucking bad happens, that like the towers came down, maybe not for you guys, but for everybody else, that
It
was a
did.
very
That was not Iran, had nothing to
no,
do with
I'm just
ours.
joking.
Hello, like
It's a
that's a
joke I
different
make. It's
country.
a joke I make with my wife. When we went to New York, when we went to New York last month, and we went to see the World Tower, the World Trade Center, the new one. She was taking pictures and shit. I'm like, lady, you better be careful around here. They get me taking pictures. They're looking at you scouting right there. But so that's just a through line joke. But my only point is like when bad shit happens, we unite real quick. But the
Quick.
second, but then there's something that drives us apart. It just sucks. But
Yeah.
so hearing that from Mike though was something because Mike really this whole trip never once does he seem like he wants to be here,
No,
and
I think Mike needed to use that as a storyline from the beginning. I think he mix like because Turkey had again, this is where my dilemma is. You're going to a completely different country pretending you're have anything to do with this other country.
yes.
You have nothing to do with each other.
And
It's
I
like
feel like production is very much asking them to step into it. Like, you know what I mean?
100%.
Listen, motherfuckers, we paid for you guys all to come halfway across the
Exactly.
world.
This
This
is the
isn't Palm
closest you're gonna
Springs.
get.
This isn't Vegas. Like, those are the trips you normally get. You know what I mean? We're coming to Turkey. Lean in, motherfuckers. This isn't just as good as Iran, right?
I mean, they could have picked Saudi Arabia, they could have picked Turkey, they could have picked what Jordan, they could have picked
Yeah.
Iraq, Iran,
No,
Afghanistan.
no,
They
no, this is
still
it.
are not Iran.
Yeah, none of
It's
them are Iran.
different
None of them are Iran. It's totally, and you definitely couldn't get away with that. If you were doing like today's so PC and politically correct, like you couldn't get it. Like, just imagine if you were trying to do that with other ethnicities where you're like, nah, same shit. Don't worry. You
Yeah,
know
it's
what I
like,
mean?
oh, we're going to El Salvador, but I'm Mexican. Well, it's the same
Yeah.
shit.
Put a
No,
bunch of
it's
Irish
not.
on to bring a whole bunch of Irish to Scotland. You know what I'm saying? Close enough. They
They're
got
from Poland, dude. It's
yeah,
okay.
yeah.
They're
So
Polish.
you're right.
Whatever,
They couldn't
same
get
thing. They
but
all look the same.
then we get to the sweetest part of the episode, and the part that I'm gonna have Shams watch, which is when they're at the dinner, and my wife breaks down about wanting a kid, and her never thinking that it's gonna happen, and that the ship has passed, and here she
So it's
is.
hard for me to go back and rewatch it, right? Because I was living in it. And at the time, you feel really bad and you're like,
Because you
you
don't think there's a chance. You don't.
no,
She's
there
old.
was
She's
no.
older. I went through the pregnancy process with her. It was a fucking nightmare. Every
I'm
part
there,
of it
I
was difficult.
remember.
Yeah,
I
that's what I'm
remember.
saying. Every part of it was difficult. Every
Every
part of it
part.
was, this is probably not going to happen. And her every part was like, yeah, no, it's good. I'm going to have my baby and everything. But like to see that, where that determination kind of started from, because when I met her, that wasn't the relationship, dude. You know what I mean? It
No.
was having fun, and then unfortunately her dad got sick, and it was a year, of that.
Yeah.
But there was never babies. Let's have babies, and then before you know it, she wanted a baby, And no matter what they told her, she was gonna fucking have a baby, and we got a kid. So I know
That's
that,
good.
I know the
Man,
power of positive thinking, or having, a single focus on something and being resolute and not listening to the outside noise. Like that's a real thing, dude. Like, because
yeah.
everybody along the way told her no, and she just didn't listen. And I could see why, because this is something that she really, really wanted. I know my wife, I know her. And that's MJ being very upset and very vulnerable there. And she's not playing for no cameras. She don't want the cameras even to follow her. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
she's gonna
She
walk
wanted to be
out.
by herself. She don't like the crying and looking vulnerable. I was with her for fucking a year. She never cried once. The first time she cried was when she couldn't go to Coachella. You know what I mean? Like what and we had some terrible arguments. She said terrible things or whatever, like nothing. Like she was the fucking Tin Man, dude. The second that she couldn't even
Don't
go,
mess with her
she
Coachella,
couldn't get
man.
VIP passes and go to the Rose Garden. I was the first one. I was going before anybody, and now everybody's what? So like I know when she's genuinely upset, and she was
Yeah,
genuinely upset. Even so much so that I don't think Asa knew how to handle it. It was like, oh
no.
shit. You know
And
what
she
I mean?
kept
Like,
prodding too. She kept trying to get info, get info. I was like, well, you
yeah,
stuff
but
with the
but also
camera.
realizing woman to woman that this might not be the time or place to really
Right.
have this, because the deeper we go down the rabbit hole, the more, I can sit
Feeling.
here and pat you on the back and tell you, no, you're gonna have a kid, sure, you're gonna have one, and it's gonna be
But
great.
at the moment, it didn't seem
But yeah, if you really had a
in
conversation
reality
about it,
to
let's
happen.
see how's that going to happen. You're
Yeah.
probably going to be like, you know what, MJ, I don't know, because you're right. You don't have a man in the future. You don't have a lot of prospects. You have a little bit of a drinking problem. You are a little bit of a fucking party animal. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And like, I don't know how you're going to have this kid. You know what I mean? And it
During
sucks.
that time, that's what we were thinking,
Yeah,
like,
I'm sure.
but going back and watching it, I had to watch, I had forgot about everything from, I don't know, 15 years
Yeah.
ago. I went and rewatched it, and, where I should be really sad for her because it was an emotional thing. I'm laughing
Oh, I
because
was
I,
happy she
and
got the
yeah,
kid. She got the kid. Like, I can't wait
yeah,
to show him, like, look how bad your mom wanted you, dude. You know what I
yeah.
mean? The next time you're a little brat, the next time you're a little dick and you get rude or whatever with your mother, just remember there's no you, dude. Literally. I'm telling you, there's no, like, I didn't slip one past the goalie. You know what I'm saying? She made that shit happen, dude.
Yeah.
So, like, there is absolutely no you without her. And you should always appreciate her and respect her for it. And again, to women out there too, and use my wife as an example, man. If you think that it cannot happen or it can't be done, don't think that. Think the other way, because it can be.
Absolutely. Where
And if
there's a
you
will,
really
there's a
believe
way.
it, the universe will react and answer in some way. They'll give you some jerkle from Queens.
On an app that I created for
That's
you guys
right.
to see.
That's right. We're almost like Eskimo twins. Listen, Layla, I love you to bits. This was a great rewatch. I think I'm gonna have you come back and we'll do one where there's a little more,
Drama.
juice,
You
a
should
little
have
more.
had me on the previous
Yeah,
episode.
honestly, if they had announced the show sooner, I would have. But because
I
they
had to go
hadn't
back
yet,
and rewatch because there were talks about a fight and I forgot what fight that was.
yeah,
I'm
man,
like,
I
can we go
didn't want.
back an episode? And I was like, oh, he's lucky he didn't
Like
have
I said,
this
right now, Gigi
episode.
and my wife, they're filming a show. They're friends. They're trying to, you know what I mean. I'm not looking to kick a hornet's nest over, So, but now that it's out there, I think
Yeah.
that we could going forward we can have conversation because it is what it is. But but again, I'm so happy you did this with me. It was great. I
Thanks
love
for
you, kiddo.
having me.
Anytime,
Bye,
Dolphins.
dirties. I
Yeah,
missed you guys.
bye, bye, kiddo.
Mwah.